Breathe it in, y'all. It's gorgeous out here. My only complaint is when humans don't respect it. I got a turtle out of the middle of the road. Put it back where it belonged. I felt good about that. So today, out in nature, breathing in that good-ass prana, as Ralph Smart would say, I am going to talk about things with more reference to songs, right? So we're awake. Now what? I've gone through this musical evolution playlist. One that was going through my head forever was, and I was like, you know, I'm really fucking tired of being patient. I'm really tired of patience, but we have to hold steady, right? And then some days, depending on my level of aggression, and frustration from being cooped in, I'd go to Smashing Pumpkins, right? Despite all my rage, I am still just a rat in a cage, And I was like, calm down, grasshopper. Calm down. Notice every tiny little detail. Sparkles. Peace. So then I would go into other songs, still in that same mindset. Rage Against the Machine. Dun-dun, dun. Now you do what they told you. Dun-dun, dun. Now you do what they told you. Oof. Listen, y'all. There are a lot of bands out there that are wide awake, and have been wide awake forever. Another one that I recently just heard, I swear I've played this song over and over and over. My nature hikes have turned into something just completely magical. Incubus, Karma Come Back. We've got to do better before this karma comes back. Yeah, bring it back. Oh, Brandon, you are just killing me softly. Oh, and Our Love. That's another one. I'm linking all of these songs for you guys. So many songs. And then one day, it's one of my favorite songs ever. I heard Olivia Newton-John. Have to believe we are magic. Nothing can stand in our way. That's what we're capable of. So, that said, I did cancel my subscription to Gaia, even though I love Bruce Lipton, Greg Braden, Dr. Joe Dispenza, and a lot of those people who combine spirituality with science, right? But David Icke, he is one that so many people have called nuts for so long. And he talks about, not only the cult that's in charge, but how we can rise above that. And how our bodies are frequencies, just like Wi-Fi. Our bodies have frequencies, and we can send out and receive signals just like any other frequency. So that's where, again, if you're choosing to sit in lockdown, which, by the way, I've seen so many more people out on the road, on the trail, no masks, because the human spirit is going, hold up, hang on. And the spirit is going, yes, yes. And you hear it, it's loud and clear. That frequency is going, something's not right. Something's not right. Again, I had this back in this virus, whatever. I had it in January. A coworker had it around that same, a little before, coughing. Like he thought it was whooping cough. It was so much coughing, and then the lack of air, and on and on. I know other people who have had it as far back as September and October. So if you've had it and you've been exposed, and one particular person still has not fully regained their sense of smell and taste, and their lungs, they need, I've been telling them about the Wim Hof method. They've got to practice these breathing techniques because that is what we should all be doing anyway, right? So I hope you're enjoying my skin tag. It looks like a third nipple. Anyway, I love myself, but one day I'm gonna burn that thing off. So yeah, our bodies pick up frequencies. So which frequency are you on? And then my amazing sister, she sent me this thing. It was, a young person talking about, I think it was a sermon, but it was very cool because it wasn't all preachy. But it was talking about how fear is a choice, and we can't help but choose it sometimes, but it helps us to focus. And I said, you know what? Thank you so much for sending me that. I love you. That was a great message. Always a choice. And some days are easier than others. Some days, like for me, yesterday, before I sat on my patio and sent a very well thought out, heart-driven, detailed email to some people that I love, before that was like, what the fuck is the point anymore? But that's what they want, you guys. That's what they want. And when I say they, I mean the nefarious ones. And if you don't think that there's some evil going down, you need to wake the F up. All right? I'm going to lovingly tell you, wake the F up, sweetie. Because your soul is begging to talk to you. You have to listen. Special lighting. I love nature so much. Yeah. So I'm putting together a playlist. A lot of people have, right? The COVID-19 playlist. But ultimately, what I just wanted to convey in this video is get out in nature. Do not listen to the news. Tell your vision what to believe off. Find independent news sources. I've already mentioned some in one of my other videos called Mainstream Media is Owned. Literally in a week, it's gotten over 1,000 views. Some people don't want to hear it, and that's the thing too. Even when people start seeing what's really going on, they're still going to want to not believe it because sometimes it's just too much. But as we slowly come into the light, we find that we're going to be all right. We just have to keep centering ourselves. That's the key. You center yourself, you trust your soul and the message that you're receiving. Paramahansa Yoganda, I read Autobiography of a Yogi. Okay, not the whole thing because I'm ADD at times for sure, but I really need to. But there is an awesome documentary called Awake. That guy was asked to come out to Hollywood back in I think it was the 30s, and ultimately showed these people who are seeking answers, God is in the spine. Now, I'm not joking when I say that. What it is when you sit still and you activate the vagus nerve, which runs all the way down the spine. It connects to every organ in the body, and you are then able to receive that, godlike energy, that love, that enlightenment. I said this on Easter. Again, I'm going to keep saying it. I'm not religious, but the story is amazing, right? Jesus, right? He's a rebellious dude. He didn't wear shoes all the time. He's a freaking rebel. I love it. Grounding. And all he did was walk around and go, dudettes, I'm just trying to show you that you have the same abilities as me. I mean, maybe not literally walk on water, but metaphorically, and God is within all of us. And that brings me, and do unto others as you'd have them do unto you. no matter where you go in the world, the golden rule still applies. So there's that. I gotta stop saying so there's that and filler words like, oh my God. Youngest grandmother ever. So that also reminds me of when I heard the story of the littlest God. Now, this was, in a nutshell, what does it mean to be human? What is the answer to being human? And the God of the sky says, let's hide the answer in the sky. The God of the ocean says, let's hide it in the deepest depths of the ocean. And the mountain, the God of the mountain, la, la, la. And then all of a sudden, the littlest God says, I know, let's hide it inside of the humans. They'll never look there. Plato, allegory of the cave. Oh, that is some deep shit. And it's true. Regardless of whether or not any of these, it was getting my attention, so we'll just take that back with us. Regardless of whether or not any of these philosophical people were good or bad, you can't deny the lessons. And of course, Jesus wasn't a bad dude, right? But he was just trying to show all of us, you can find God in here, not out there. Definitely not in your television or anything else, like, pumping fear into you. Okay, now this is odd, but I have to show you. Yeah, I mean, wow. That is a floaty stick. Like, do you see it? It's not even attached. It's a separate little stick. Let's make a little wave. What? Also, when I was paddling over here to this little area, and I was listening to the little paddles, right? Like, hello, fishies. That reminded me so much of bird dogs. Don't look! I mentioned it in my other video. Don't look! If you look at it, it's terrifying. Don't look at what? Too late. A lot of people are waking up. A lot of people. And they still have questions, and that's cool. That's what we're supposed to have, questions. If you have kids and they constantly ask questions, drop to your knees and say, thank you. Because these kids, I would say for the past couple generations, they're world changers, game changers. And the nefarious ones don't like that. You keep them elevated. You keep those kids elevated. And when they say weird stuff to you and you go, what the? Or even, some of you may disagree. I do not, because the soul is eternal. And I actually have met Dr. Brian Weiss of the famous book, Many Lives, Many Masters, in person. There are no coincidences, you guys. I'll tell you that story in a second. That book was written, it was a case study, and he changed her name for her protection. But essentially, under regression therapy sessions, she had many lives. And in each life, she learned these lessons. And under hypnosis, the masters would speak through her. And Dr. Brian Weiss, at the time, was like, what is this? And eventually, it just became so compelling that he's like, I can't talk about this. I'll be the laughing stock of the medical community. But he did. And I discovered that book. I discovered that book in the 90s when I was in a not healthy relationship. And that was a karmic relationship for sure. And I'm so glad, even though it was painful. Essentially, we come back. We come back and we come back until we get it right. And we should never stop trying to learn or evolve. And even if you think you have all the answers, you have only just begun to learn the answers. But there is such a thing as you cross over, your soul, you review your life, and then you can, on this side, it may be 10 years later, but on the other side, you jump right back in. So what are you learning this time? And there are children out there, going back to what I was saying about children, there are documented cases, interviews of children talking about, I used to live here. I was married with 3 kids. And the parents were just like, what? Or I was a fighter, a jet firefighter. Oh my jeez, you know what I'm saying? A jet fighter, a pilot in World War II, what have you. And the parents started doing some digging. I'll have to link that because it's fascinating. But long story short, these children in the last couple generations, they're world changers. So listen and practice meditation with them, sit with them and meditate, and help them open up their chakras, their third eye, their throat, their heart. Everything should be heart-centered. I'm going to go back in the shade a little bit. Feels so good. So, real quick story about Dr. Brian Weiss. Oh, hello, little ladybug. Landed right on my hand. Good sign. One day, fast forward maybe a couple years after LA, I decided, because I saw all the homelessness and just disparity, in West LA, and I couldn't take it anymore. And I thought, no, I don't give a shit about being a movie star. I care that people are being disposed of. That makes me so angry. So I got into caregiving, right? And one day, a couple years ago actually, I was working with this couple, and I loved them dearly. He's recently passed, and I love you so much, Joe. He was such a great influence, wonderful man, who actually fought in Vietnam and was dealing with Parkinson's, where his wife was convinced that it was due to Agent Orange. So he was very witty, and he would always say, "You're such a pip, Mel." And I'm like, "What's a pip?" He was right. And one day we were talking, Jill and Joe, I love you guys. Send healing to Jill. She's such a wonderful person, and she just lost him. So send her lots of love and healing. But one day they said, "Melody, are you religious or are you spiritual?" And I said, "That's interesting that you asked that question, because one day in the 90s, I was in an acting class in Dallas. And I basically was talking to this girl, and you have to see what's going on right here. Hello. Styx. These are the best of times. Everything's a song, y'all. So this girl tells me about that book, Many Lives, Many Masters. And I'm telling this story to Joe and Jill. And I said, yeah, it was this book that just woke me up. And Dr. Brian Weiss, and they both go, Brian and Carol are our best friends. We've known them for 20 years. And I was like, shut up. And they said, no, it's true. And Joe got an old picture of himself with Brian Weiss. And I was like, look, you talk about synchronicities, serendipities. And in that moment, I got this universal ethereal, nothing is accidental. And I said, oh my God. And so I told them the story of how that book pulled me out of a really bad relationship and it woke me up. And that began my path, of all the breadcrumbs leading me toward awakening. And they're like, oh, well, Brian and Carol are coming into town in February. He's going to do a seminar, and they're going to stay here. You should come. You should meet them. And I was like, what? So I did. And it was glorious. And they were wonderful. And then I got invited. As I was leaving, we had a wonderful talk. And as I was leaving, Jill sends me a text and says, Brian would like to invite you to his seminar for free. And I was like, I just started crying. I just pulled over and I was like, really? Okay. The happiest snot that ever came out of my nose in that moment. It was amazing. And so I did. I went there, and he actually called on me twice. He does these group, these audience regression sessions, and you can find them on YouTube. I'll link it because you know it. And wow. At one point, he's like, so Melody, did you go through the door? And I literally said in front of an international audience, almost, not quite. I was really in my head. Too much green tea, I guess. So there's that. But said it again. So we're awake. Now what? Well, you just keep going out in nature. You keep connecting to Mother Earth. You notice how when all the humans got out of the way, she started going, I love you. I'm not a professional singer, but I love to sing. I'm so happy to be out here right now. So I'm going to go finish up my kayaking, and I wish all of you the most amazing day, and I hope that you have the most amazing dreams, and that you continue to find out just how perfect and amazing you really are, because your soul is trying to tell you that. Dragonflies. Dragonflies are a symbol of transformation. One more thing, I do remember, I did, if you look at my other videos, hello, lovelies. They're smart. They skim the surface and they zap it. They're smart and they're beautiful and transformative. Look up dragonfly symbolism. But in one of my other videos, it says the Wim Hof method, breathe with me. I actually have a dead dragonfly that I found right outside my door one day, and it's a very symbolic thing for me, and I couldn't believe I found it outside my door. So yeah, I keep a dead dragonfly in my windowsill, but I learned that there is a drone, called Dragonfly, and I thought, now that's funny, because in my video where the Wim Hof method teaches you how to strengthen your immune system and get in tune with your inner self, the dead dragonfly means that shit's no longer valid. Peace out.